in regards to, if the men that you ladies like and want are not reading these books, here's the thing. One, again, I do think more of them are reading than y'all may realize. And here's when a man does read those books or watch those videos, when he finds the woman that he falls in love with. All right. And so I know this one guy on YouTube, I won't say his name, but he came up basically teaching men how to be players. All right. How to sleep with women, all this stuff. And he does coaching. And he told me the vast majority of his male clients are not men trying to sleep around. It's men trying to get that one woman. All right. So again, what people are seeing and what's actually happening behind closed doors with men is not lining up. All right. So they're coming to the man who teaches you how to be a player on how to get the one woman they really want. And so what I've learned is that when men find that woman, now they become, I don't want to use the word desperate, but to a certain extent, desperate to figure out, okay, how do I make this work? And they are willing to look for that information. What women have to understand is you can be an amazing woman. He's just not the one for you. And you're not the one for him. And expecting him to figure it out is asking for too much, because that connection isn't there to really make this work. But also, and some of your followers may not like this, but I have to say this. When women say to me, why aren't you talking to the men, even though I am? There aren't people talking to these men. We can't do anything if these men aren't learning how to love us and how to treat us. And what a woman has to understand is your power and your success does not rest in what men learn. It rests in what you do and what you become and what you start to understand. Because I could get 1 million men right now to become the greatest men on the face of this earth. Every woman's not going to get one. There's still gonna be millions more of men who don't act right. If you don't learn how to navigate the ones who don't act right, you're going to get stuck in the wrong relationship or caught up in the wrong relationship. And if you don't tap into what gets you that great man that you do like, you're not going to see success. And listen, here's the thing. I was just on a podcast, and the two guys I was speaking to, they both make over 6 figures, both good guys. And they're like, yo, it's hard out here to date. They can't find serious women. Okay, think about that now.
So what's going on?
What's going on is, so they're saying they can't find serious women. And this is, these are my boys, so this is no shade to them. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I'm like, I have no problem finding serious women. All right? I can find serious women tomorrow. So if I can constantly find serious women and you can't, the issue isn't that the women do not exist. The issue is you're not tapping into something that would get you that kind of desire from women. Okay? So when women say, I can't find no man who's serious, no, the issue is, are you fully tapping into what is required to get that? Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. We love to think we're awesome, and it's not that we're not awesome and great, right? But we may not be fully living in our potential and fully embracing what a woman or man, whatever you're searching for, needs in order to embrace being in a serious relationship with you. All right.
And what would those things be, for example?
So, and again, this will, for some this will apply, for some it won't. But one thing that comes to mind is feminine energy. All right. A lot of women are beautiful, amazing women, but they exude way too much masculine energy. They don't know how to be in their feminine. And
okay, so this is from your experience.
This is from
meeting women.
This is from what I have seen. This is from my coaching. This is from talking to other men. This is from everything you can think of. Okay, it's a constant reoccurring theme. And what encompasses that feminine energy? We can break it all down, but the point is, it boils down to a lot of women not walking in their femininity. And the reason why that's a big problem is because, remember what you said, the men that we want. So plenty of women do not have a problem getting the desire of men in general, or a man here, a man there, whatever. The problem is the type of man they want. And what typically that type of man is for most women is a masculine man.
Yes.
A man who has this stuff together, who can hold things down, provide all these things. What that guy is looking for and going to be drawn to is a feminine woman, a woman who knows how to walk in her femininity. And what's hitting my spirit right now that I have to say is, unfortunately, a lot of women believe or have held on to this idea of, well, when I meet the right man, I can be feminine for him, or I'm feminine once I'm in a relationship. And that may be true to a certain extent. But if you're not exuding that energy, he won't even come to you.
Right.
So you won't even get the opportunity to show him that you can be feminine. But the reality is that if you are not exuding it, even if you, because I'm a firm believer that when a man exudes masculinity, he will pull more femininity out of a woman. Naturally, women find themselves more feminine around a masculine man.
Facts.
But your ability to sustain that is not going to be there if you haven't addressed whatever is the underlying issue that's blocking you from exuding it. And the reality is, what's blocking you from exuding it in most cases is a lack of healing.
Yes.
You've been hurt before. You got your walls up. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to be taken advantage of, which is fine, but you're going about it the wrong way. And so now what will happen is, even if you meet this masculine man and you find yourself super feminine around him, when you get to step away from it, you're going to be like, what the hell just happened? Like the fact that he has this effect on you will start to scare you.
Yes.
It will bring you a level of joy and a level of fear.
Right.
And then that fear will be magnified because of the issues that you have not healed from, that now push that fear to the surface. Like, well, maybe this is too good to be true, or nah, there's got to be, something's going to happen. I can't trust this, or not. Let me play it cool. Let me pull back. All these things that throw it all off. So all that to say, yes, feminine energy is one of those big things. I know a lot of women don't like hearing this, but I have to say this.
Okay.
Another big thing that gets in a lot of women's way is how they physically present themselves.
Okay, let's talk about that, because every interview that I hear from a guy that we respect, okay, they kind of tiptoe around that. They don't want to offend women. But can we just be completely honest? Okay. Because, I mean, when I hear that, because I know the women that I'm around, the women that I see, they always look put together and they look good. But obviously that's not all women. So can you speak to that point about physical appearance and keep it funky? Because the thing is, there are obviously people on the internet that keep it 157% too raw and real and like offensive, right? But there's a way that you can say it that isn't like shying away from it, but also being very like direct. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. All right. So let me start off by saying this. All right. I think we have to recognize that a lot of times there's a disconnect between what your other female friends or what you may view as attractive, well put together for a woman versus what a man views as that.
Okay.
And vice versa. And so one thing I've learned as a man was, like, if I go buy cologne, if I go buy clothes, I get the opinion of a woman. All right. Because my boys might be like, yo, that's fly. That looks great. But I'm not trying to look good for y'all. I'm trying to attract women. So I need to know how the woman's eyes see it. And her eyes are very different than the man's eyes. Okay. And a quick example of that is, like, this is no offense to these people that it applies to, but like I've seen some church events where women wear these big poofy dresses. There's these certain types of dresses that they wear, right? And the other women were like, oh, you look good, girl, all this stuff, right? They'll hype it all up. And in my head, I'm like, ain't no man think that's sexy. Ain't not one man I know that says he wants his woman in that dress, okay? So what women will say looks amazing doesn't always line up with what men think.
Right.
Now, with that said, we have to understand that men are extremely visual, all right? And like you mentioned with your previous guest, because society shames men when it comes to how they view attraction or what they want with attraction, men are not as vocal about it. And it's created this skewed perception of what actually looks good, or what looks good to a man in order for him to be serious and marry you. Because that's the key thing here. What many men will sleep with does not equate to what many men will marry.
Right.
Okay. And so you also have this situation, or this dynamic where, because women are having these men sleep with them, they don't understand that there's still a better level they can reach in how they present themselves physically. That would actually make now a man be much more willing to be serious or marry them. Okay. And so,
so are you saying that there's things that women are doing that are stopping them from getting married?
Yeah, there's a book. I always forget the title, but it breaks down like the 7 keys to increasing your chances of marriage. And it was this survey, a guy who was running surveys for something, and then he ended up doing surveys on people leaving after getting their marriage license. All right. And he was asked all these questions. He came up with these 7 common themes, which led to these women have a higher chance of getting married. And one of those things was a woman staying in shape. That was huge on the list. And again, it plays a huge role. And you know what? Since you said keep it funky, I'm going to keep it real funky right now. And again, I want every woman to know I say this with love. I don't say this to ever hurt nobody's feelings, okay? But there are men out there who, they might sleep with a plus size woman, right? But their logic is they would not marry one, because if she's already plus size, the idea is she's going to gain weight after you get married.
So this is not Stephan saying. This is men.
Yeah, this
what
is
men think. Okay.
Yeah. And not all men. I'm just saying there are men who have this perception.
Right.
All right. This does exist. It's just showing you one of the nuances of how men view the whole attractiveness and how you have to present yourself. So their view is you're going to probably gain weight after marriage anyway. So if we're starting from that high of a level of weight, because the thing is, men, there's a quote that says, men marry hoping the woman will never change. Women marry hoping the man will change.
Yes.
All right. So even if he likes plus size women in a general sense, he likes you where you at. He doesn't want it to go further from here. You know what I'm saying? Becoming more plus size can still become damaging in that situation, even though he likes plus size. So because the idea is she will more than likely gain weight after kids, after marriage, there are some men who essentially want a head start. Basically, by choosing someone who has less weight on them, it's like, okay, if she gains 20 pounds, we're still good. She's still in that range where I can handle it. I'm okay. I'm going to still be attracted to her. But if we're already 50 pounds over and then we add another, and it becomes problematic for that guy. And that can be enough for a man to be like, yeah, I don't know if I can marry this woman. Okay,
so if we break it down, what is it about a woman being overweight that men don't like? Is it the look? Is it her being bigger than him? Like, what is it?
I think it's just, I would have to say it's just the look. I mean, I never had men give different angles on it as far as what exactly they didn't care for about it. I would just say it's mainly about the look. I mean, listen, I think if we're honest as a society, the problem is people aren't being real, all right? They would get mad at these companies who would trot out these slim women in these advertisements, right? And they would say that, oh, these companies are creating this standard of beauty. And I've always believed they're not creating it. They're actually speaking to what the people respond to.
Yes.
If the people responded better naturally to, it's the same way how you'll have women say, oh, well, we love a chubby man. Bring us the big boys, right? And I'm like, if y'all love big boys so much, why aren't there strip clubs for women with big men as the dancers? This doesn't make sense. If what you're saying is true, it would play out in what actually works in various environments like that. But it doesn't, because what people are saying and what they actually respond to is 2 different things.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there was a study done once where they surveyed a bunch of women and they showed the women 2 men. One had a chiseled body, very in shape, and the other had a dad bod, so to speak. And they said, okay, which one would you sleep with? Which one would you marry? The women overwhelmingly chose the chiseled body to sleep with and the dad body to marry. All right. And you can make the argument that women have a slight reverse perception of physical presentation and what they would want to accept in marriage versus date. Because for women, for a lot of women, not all women, but for a lot of women, it's about the idea of, I don't want to deal with that standard in my relationship. If he's too in shape, now I got to be in shape. And I ain't trying to do all that. So by letting him slide, he better let me slide. He don't have the right to say anything to me. Okay. Which is why you'll have situations where women, because here's the thing. We can talk about women falling off or letting themselves go after marriage. Tons of men let themselves go after marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But women don't make an issue of it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they don't make an issue of it, but it still has a negative impact on the marriage. So a lot of women will say, you see, well, we don't care. We wouldn't leave our man. Yeah, you wouldn't leave him, but you don't want to sleep with him the same. You don't talk to him the same. The desire is not there. It's still having a negative impact. So the argument can be made is that both men and women are drawn to a good physical presentation, but their willingness to deal with it or tolerate it is where it differs, especially when we get into more serious relationships or marriage.
So why do people, women especially, let themselves go when they get into a relationship or when they get married? I was in a relationship last year for 2 years, and I gained the most weight in my entire life in that relationship, because I guess I was calling it happy weight. Because obviously, like, you're in a relationship, you're comfortable, you're eating, you're going out and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's an element of, well, he's got to love me for who I am. Like, do you know what I mean? So you kind of do get comfortable, but men have a problem with you getting too comfortable. Okay, where's the line between loving someone for who they are and not tolerating certain, do you know what I mean?
Changes, yeah.
Yeah.
So first thing, in regards to why women let themselves go, the unfortunate reality for a lot of women is that the motivation while being single to get a relationship is what pushes them to be willing to put in the work and maintain themselves. And once they've achieved that, the motivation is now gone. Now, I would argue that part of the reason why it's gone is because though they got a relationship, they don't have a genuine connection with this man. All right? Because I'm a firm believer that when a woman has a real connection with a man and they're having a good relationship, she wants to look good for him. She's going to be more mindful. But the reality is that a lot of women they're taking what's good enough as a partner, but they're not really into him like that. Exactly. They're settling. And it may not look like settling on the surface because he could be a great guy. It could look like a good relationship, but he doesn't really speak to her heart. What's really going on here does not pull things out of her, does not make her want to be better for him. It just says, okay, I'm here, I'm good. F it now. Like, it's whatever. So I think that's a huge part of why women let themselves go after marriage or after getting the relationship they want. And sometimes, again, like, I'll give you one quick example and then I'll answer the other part of this. I remember a client where she gets married. After getting married, she gains 100 pounds. All right. The marriage completely falls apart. He doesn't want to sleep with her. It's a mess. They end up getting separated. In the separation, she now finds her motivation. Oh, I'm gonna show him what he's missing.
Revenge body.
Exactly. Lost 100 pounds. Okay. They start having sex again. The relationship is amazing. They're getting back together. They get back together. She gained 100 again.
No.
Yes. And of course, eventually it just ended in divorce. Like, I think at that point he felt like, okay, you're just playing with me now. I'm done here. I can't do this. So
wow,
it's that underlying motivational factor of why are you even doing this? And I think it's important that's why for a woman, even though I do believe in looking good for your partner, both for the men and the women, I do think that you need a foundational piece for yourself.
Yes.
Like, you've got to want this for you too, because if you
Yes.
just want it for them, what's going to happen is the minute they stop acting right, the minute they start pissing you off, you're not going to care anymore.
Yeah.
All right. But if you want it for you, then no matter what's going on, you will sustain this.
Yes.
So you got to find your deeper motivation rather than I just want a relationship.
That's
Now,
good.
in regards to where's the line between loving you for you and you know, having a problem with this, here's what people have to understand. Attraction and let me say this. Love is not relationship. All right. And what I mean by that is this. We can love someone deeply and not want to be in a relationship with them. Think about great friends. You have friends who you love to death, all right, of the opposite sex. Or some of you may have friends you love to death of the opposite sex, but you don't want to be with them like that. Now, why don't you want to be with them like that? Because you're not attracted to them like that.
Yes.
Once you remove attraction from the equation, you eliminate the chance of romantic relationship. Okay.
Right.
So once we understand that attraction is the ingredient that takes it from platonic to romantic, then we have to understand that once you remove the attraction, you will go backwards from romantic to platonic. All right. This is how two people end up being like roommates in the same house, because the attraction is gone. When people say, oh, the flame isn't there, no, the attraction is gone. That's the flame that went away. All right.
Wow.
And so we have to understand that, yes, when I see these men or even these women start to disconnect from their partner, it's not that they don't love you anymore. It's that they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, because we didn't choose to be in a relationship just to love each other. We chose to satisfy each other's needs, to have attraction. That's what we needed. And we're not allowed to get that elsewhere. You see, if I try to fulfill my attraction needs outside this relationship, I will violate the relationship, and now I'm the bad guy.
Yes,
so if you deny me of that, so if you deny me of that in the relationship, you're starving the thing that allows us to even have a romantic relationship. So this is where people have to be honest. People need to understand the difference, and then they need to be honest about what they need from their partner to remain attracted to their partner. We can't play that game of saying, well, oh, you're supposed to just love me for me. No, yeah, I do love you, but I don't want to be with you like that anymore. It's two different things. It's two different things.
Wow. That's very, very, a very, very good point, because I do feel like, and I think it's hard for women to hear that, because we do want to be loved unconditionally. Like, we want to feel, and I think there's a lot of pressure to be a woman. Yeah. Like, we deal with so much, and then to look good on top of that all the time, like, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. So sometimes when you get into a relationship, you feel like, okay, he loves me, I can relax. But okay, also wanted to mention what you were saying. Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for them? Because there are some women that want to look good, period. Even when they're in their house, they're looking good because it's in them, right? Yeah. My auntie, she's like 74. She looks great, and she always looks good. My grandma was the same, always looks good because it's in them. She wasn't doing it for other people. However, there's other people who, they don't care. They don't care. So then if you get with a woman that doesn't care, then you are going to get that, oh, well, he has to love me for who I am. But if there's a woman that actually genuinely cares about her own appearance for herself, she's going to be like, well, no, I don't want to look like this. Not only just for you, but for me.
Exactly. So this is where, like, this is something that I learned a while ago, because I've had men, and this is where a lot of men make the mistake. Because again, some people shame men when it comes to their attraction. They'll have this idea of, okay, well, maybe, you know, it can get better, or I can help her, you know, make herself look better, or, you know, take better care of herself. And I tell men, listen, no, if that's important to you, you have to find a woman that it's important to her for herself. All right. Because, like, for example, I'm someone who believes in, like, this may sound silly, but this is the honest to God truth. Even when I was broke, I knew I wanted a woman who would take care of her nails, her hair, go to the spa day, whatever. My mentality was, okay, if I want that, I have to be able to provide for that. So I need to make sure I'm making enough money that I can have a budget for her to do that and have her maintenance budget, all right? And take care of herself and all that. And some people would say, oh, well, every woman would love that. And I said, no, that's not true. There are some women who will look at that as an unnecessary chore. They will feel like it's a burden. Why do I have to do this? I don't like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Then there's some women who will love the hell out of it. And thank God for a man who will provide in this way and then some, right? And so it's a matter of finding that person who aligns with your vision of how we live life. All right? So if you are a woman who does not want to have to deal with the expectation of keeping yourself up, then yes, find a man, because there are men out there who exist like that. And I would say to a certain extent, they do exist like that. The problem, though, is those typically are not the men that the women want. Right? And this is the disconnect. This is where it's like, yo, like you can have it a certain way, but there's a trade-off for everything. Like, again, using my situation as an example, I know that with being with a woman who likes to take care of herself and look good, chances are she's going to be an expensive woman.
High maintenance.
Exactly. She's going to like the finer things and stuff of that nature. I've accepted that trade-off. All right. I understand. So I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to sit here and expect her to be all frugal. No, I know that's part of her nature. Okay. So we go with that. So now on the flip side, if you want a man who does not hold you to that standard, understand what other qualities typically come with that. And typically that means a man who's not the most ambitious dude. All right. He's a more comfortable, content, complacent type of guy. He just needs what he needs and he's fine. So if you as a woman know that you want a man who's a go-getter, ambitious and all that, and I'm not saying there's no exceptions to these rules. There's always exceptions to these rules. But typically, the go-getter, ambitious guy is going to have higher standards for how you present yourself.
Right.
Complacent man will be more accepting. Can you be happy with the complacent, content man? You can go for it. If not, then you have a choice to make. You're either going to accept him or you're going to start to find your motivation to want to look good and present yourself so you can have that other type of man that you want.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I feel like it's the equation is very simple. Get someone that wants what you want. I think there's so much, especially on the internet, of a lot of fighting because one person doesn't understand why is this woman demanding so much or why does this man want so much. Like you don't have to like everyone has their standards and one man's like, no, that's too much. Is another man's, is that it? Do you know what I mean? But then we're trying to fight to change people and what they want. Like you said, a woman being high, and like we start using these terms as a negative. A woman that likes to look after herself is now high maintenance, which is now like a slur. It's like something negative. But it's like, just because you can't handle, like, I'm not high maintenance. You can't maintain me. Just say that. Yeah. Don't say I'm high maintenance. Say you can't do it. And
that's why they're mad.
Right. That's why they're mad.
Because what everyone's doing, what a lot of these people are doing on both sides, is they're complaining because the people they want require what they're not willing to give or what they don't have to give. All right. So essentially, these men want these women who are looking a certain way and so beautiful and all this, but you want to be mad because she wants to be provided for and for you to be financially stable or whatever the case, or take on a nice date. You know what I'm saying? Then you have women who want this, well-off, good-looking guy, but you're mad because he holds beauty at a higher standard.
Right.
And it's like, yo, you can't, again, like you said, find someone who wants what you want. But the problem is the majority of people don't want who wants them. They want the other person, and they don't want to have to step up in regard to what is required to get the other person.
Facts. And I think like that is just it. Like the people that we want, the people that want us, we don't want. But the people we want don't want us. And it's like it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. There's always gonna be that thing. Yeah. Like that's why we have crushes. And it's like, oh, if only. But it's like, well, they don't like me back. Well, you don't like that guy back either, and he likes you. So it's like a constant, and you kind of have to be humble enough to be like, okay, I'm not going to be for everybody, but for the right person that sees me and wants what I want, it's going to be a perfect match. And I think this whole relationship thing is almost just about finding that match.
Yeah, that match, that connection. And I also think that people would do themselves a favor by looking at the internet a lot less. All right.
Too many opinions. There's too much noise.
Too much opinions, and also too many false perceptions being created. Like one of the things that I'm trying to find the right word. One of the things that I don't want to say discouraged, but I guess I wish was different, is that now I'm seeing that what used to be luxuries in life, people are expecting as the standard. All right. I was speaking to one of my homeboys, and I was like, once upon a time, going on a vacation was a special thing. All right. Like, and you was lucky to go out the country or do a vacation once a year. If that, okay? If that. Yeah. And now I'm hearing women, like, if you can't take her on multiple vacations, she don't want you. Now listen, and this is this is not to brag. I'm in a position where I can go on vacation all damn year if I wanted to. Yeah. So it doesn't hurt me in this life of dating and relationships. But I just see so many people missing out on what could be a great match for them because they're worried about small little things that's really not that important. You know, like I've even heard dudes, I don't want to get vulgar, but I've even heard dudes like with certain specific sexual acts. And to be fair, I think everyone has their lines that they have to draw, and what might be important to one or not important to another can vary. But without saying what it was just something that I was like, do you really have to have that to be happy? Like, you really couldn't do without that. And just for the record, I ain't talking about oral sex, because I think for a lot of people, oral sex is a must. So, I mean, right. Whole other discussion. But I'm talking about some stuff even further than that. And I'm like, you really gonna pass up on somebody for that? Is that really smart? And again, I think what happens with the internet is, I was just telling somebody the other day, the internet allows people more time to find something wrong. Okay?
Nothing's good enough anymore.
Exactly. Whereas I feel like but the funny thing is, if those same people met in person, they might actually like each other.
Yeah.
All right. Because when you meet in person, you gravitate. If there's something that you like about them, you gravitate to that. There's not enough time to analyze their whole being. Yeah. So you go straight to what you like. Online, you get to scan everything. Yeah. And because of this, you find that one little thing that's wrong. Oh, they're a Scorpio. I can't deal with them. End of story. You know, like you just find any little thing and you eliminate people. And so people aren't even giving themselves a chance to mingle and meet people that could actually turn into something special. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. But before I tell you how to hook them, all right, and of course, you know, watch the whole video because I'm always going to explain various angles that you need to hear. But I want to start with telling you 3 things not to do